Good morning. Senator Hill, Representative John Evans, members of the Joint Standing Committee of Appropriations and Financial Affairs. I'm Alan Casavant. I represent District 137, Biddeford Court, and I'm also the mayor of Biddeford, York County's largest city. I'm here in support of LR 2721 because of the failure to protect revenue sharing will undercut all that cities like Biddeford are attempting to do. I'm going to go off script because I don't want to be overly redundant. I'm sure you're going to hear some more testimony, and I want to personalize at least what I see in Biddeford. Being in local politics, of course, you're in the trenches. It's not so much like being in Augusta where you're somewhat insulated. Even though when you look at a crowd like this, you realize that you're not really insulated. But in Biddeford or any other community, every single day you're in the spotlight because of taxes or some other issue. To be honest, the status quo is not working in terms of local taxation. I'll give you some examples. There's a woman who's 85 years old in Biddeford who's still working. And she's working because she can't afford her property taxes. She can't retire. Now she lives on a beach, Hills Beach. But being 85, she moved there in the 1950s, married there, raised her family there, and can't leave. But she's stuck in that dilemma of trying to make ends meet. When I was running for mayor in the fall, I bumped into an elderly couple who were living in an apartment, and they gave me this story about their sense of loss because they retired because of health issues, who couldn't afford the taxes, and now they're in an apartment. And they asked me, can I do something? It's difficult for me to do something because Biddeford, like all service center communities, are under tremendous pressures. Biddeford, for example, because of the potential loss of certification for its schools, had to renovate the high school. $34 million. No state aid came out of our pockets. That raised the property tax $216 for every $200,000 of revenue share evaluation. And I can tell you this, I can match that just like that in terms of other things that are needed. I got a bell tower designed by John Calvin Stevens over my head. It needs $1 million in repairs. I can't put it in the budget. People, I mean, it gets so absurd that people in Biddeford say, well, let's cut it down so we don't have to spend $1 million. Can you imagine destroying something like that? But there are so many pressures at the local level because you have people on fixed incomes that can't afford to pay, you have people with stagnant wages, and you have the unemployed. Revenue sharing was designed to take the pressures off local property taxes, and we are contemplating not only putting those pressures back, but exacerbating the situation. I'm old, so I remember this little story, and it kind of applies here. There used to be a baseball pitcher named Bob Gibson who played with St. Louis Cardinals. The man threw it 100 miles an hour. They used to have a raised mound, and so to help out batters, they reduced the level of the mound to kind of neutralize the overpowering pitcher. That in a way was like revenue sharing, to try to neutralize property taxes. So what are we going to do? We're talking about, well, let's put the mound back up, and not only that, move the plate closer. Because the system today is so far out of whack compared to what it was when revenue sharing was established. So what I'm saying is, you have to be very careful about this, because there are going to be some serious effects in terms of how it affects local communities. Biddeford is on the cusp of doing wonderful things economically. But let's face it, if you cut out the infrastructure, because we can't afford to put it on the tax rate, if you cut out the assistance that you've been giving us for all these years, what's that going to do for economic development? In my point of view, it's going to kill it. Thank you very much.
Representative Casavant, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing Biddeford's story.